Good morning. This is Robert Goodman here on Positive Strokes, staying clean. And I'm so happy to be here to share my strength and hopes with you about my recovery. You know, now after you done completed the 12 steps, after I completed this 12 steps and I've had that spiritual awakening and I am working the program of recovery, sharing my strength and hopes with others, I'm living the program of recovery. I am living the program of recovery. I want to read something to you. Tell yourself, just for today, my thoughts will be on my recovery, living and enjoying life without the use of drugs. Just for today, I will have faith in someone in NA who believes in me and wants to help me in my recovery. Just for today, I will have a program. I will try to follow it to the best of my ability. Just for today, through NA, I will try to get a better perspective of my life. Just for today, I will be unafraid. My thoughts will be on my new association, people who are not using and who have found a new way of life. So long as I follow that way, I have nothing to fear. Just for today. Just for today. When I got to this point and had that inner joy and happiness of being in recovery, living life on life's terms, seeing the blessings that I received from the work I done on myself, being proud of myself once again, because addiction took all that away. I wasn't proud of the things that I was doing. I was just surviving, making sure that I had more and more dope so I can live. But as I did the 12 steps and worked the program of recovery that was suggested to me, it was suggested to me, it became a must to do these things that were suggested to me that made my life better. So now I'm at that point where I'm feeling good about myself. I'm happy that I've got to this point in my life. I'm happy that I'm here and I want to share this with everyone. This is what works for me. So you should do it this way because it works for me. And that is my first feeling of appreciation for the program of recovery that I want to share with everyone. That this, if you do it my way, it's going to work. And that's the feeling that I had in the beginning. But the program of recovery taught me that I must find my own way in order to live my best life in recovery. What works for Robert may not work for you. So you have to find your way to live your best life. You have to overcome your situations, your problems, your fears. You have to face them, move forward. Accept the faults that you made, the mistakes that you made to yourself and others, own up to them, learn from them, and learn about yourself to make your life better. That's what I had to do. But the interesting thing is that when you're in recovery and you're receiving the blessings of recovery and you're living your life on life's terms and you see people that you love and you care about making bad choices and bad mistakes, you want to run right in there. I know what I can tell. This right here will save you just like it saved me. But they may not take it like that. Each person has to find their own way. So what can you do to help those that are still suffering in active addiction? What you can do is be an example by your walk in your recovery. Let your walk stand out. Let people look at you and say, you know what? I want what he has. And I'm going to ask him, how did he get it? And that's the step for them to find the best way in recovery. We can't save nobody. Just because Robert got recovery doesn't mean I'm able to save anybody. All I can do is share my strength, my hopes, and the mistakes that I made in my active addiction, how I overcame these situations. It's up to the other person to pick out information they can use in their recovery that will help them along in their recovery. They have to look at themselves. They have to do the judgment on themselves, look at themselves honestly and openly, and figure out what truly will work for them to help them overcome their addiction and live their best life in recovery. That's right. Robert is a very faulty person. I've made mistakes all my life. I'm 66 years old. In 6 days, I'll be 67. And I realized that I have to pay attention to myself so I don't make mistakes so much. I'm going to make mistakes because I'm human. But if I pay attention to myself, I'll make less mistakes. And as I pay attention to myself, I will learn how to keep my mouth closed and say nothing. And there's times when I need to speak out and speak out. But this comes from knowing thyself and my actions. I understand that when you came from active addiction and you have recovery and you built a life far beyond your dreams, you want everybody to receive the same dream that you received, but it doesn't work that way. Each person is a different human being. Some people were brought up by one parent. Some people were brought up by two parents. Some people were brought up by the system. Some people was brought up by foster parents. Some people was brought up by the streets. Some people were brought up by gangs. And each individual looks at life differently, and their trauma and their pain of their past are totally different. And what they feel and what they believe. So each person has to go through their own pain, their own situation, and look at themselves honestly and openly and find out exactly what they need to stay clean and sober. I can't sit up and judge another human being what they should take in recovery and what they should not, because I don't live in their skin. I have not walked 1,000 miles in their shoes. But what I can do is show you what works for me, what's good for me in my recovery, and how I got to the point where I am today. And you take what you need from my recovery and leave the rest there. Because everything is not meant for you. Only what you need so you can live your best life in recovery. Another thing, just because I have years of recovery doesn't mean that I must look down on a person that has only 30 days or 1 day. Because in reality, all I have is today. What I did yesterday was yesterday. But what I'm doing today in my recovery keeps me clean and sober today, which makes sure and will help me be clean and sober tomorrow. What I do today will help me to be clean and sober tomorrow. The information of me having years is for a person that comes into the program of recovery, letting them know that you can have the same thing that Robert has. He has years. You can get that. But one day at a time, 124 hours. Work on being clean 24 hours. And when you achieve that, you work on the next 24 hours. It doesn't matter how much time you have in recovery. It really doesn't. What matters is what you're doing in your recovery today will make sure that you have recovery tomorrow. What you've done yesterday was for yesterday, but what you do today in recovery is for today and ensures your recovery for tomorrow. I've listened and learned a lot of information about recovery, and one of the fallbacks is that when you get time in recovery, you think you know everything. You think you have enough information and I got this, you know what I mean? I got years, you've been listening to me. And that's why I had relapse, because I thought that I knew enough. But my relapse taught me that I only know a little. I only know a little. I only know what works for Robert. I know what I need to do so I don't fall victim to relapse. And the only way I know that is I pay attention to myself, my actions, my feelings, my emotions, and how things affect me as a human being. And that's the way I stay clean and sober. I don't pay attention that I have years of clean time. I focus in today, staying clean today. It doesn't matter what I've done in the past. The past is history. I'm in today, keeping the focus on today and what I'm doing to stay clean and sober today. How it says, just for today? It doesn't say just for 2 years, doesn't say just for 5 years. It says just for today. That means that the same procedure that I did yesterday, I must follow today. Just for today. I will keep my thoughts on my recovery. Keeping the focus on Robert. Yes, I understand that there are people that you care about that are in active addiction that are still doing the most, and you want to do something to help them. You want to show them that your way was working. Sometimes you don't have to say anything. They already see that you've changed your behavior, that you're living your life the way you choose to live it, clean and sober, that your life has gotten better. All you have to do is just be an example. Remember, addiction will beat you up and will eventually make you want to change your behavior. It did. I was in active addiction for 40 years. I was beat up for 40 years. I went from the highs to the lows. I had to go through all that until I was ready to surrender and try something new. And I'm not no different than any other person. Some people get it quickly, some people get it slowly, but it always materializes if we work for it. We always get it if we work for it. The best thing that you can do for a loved one is be an example. Because here's the thing, in my active addiction, I was down on myself. When I came around people that their lives was doing great, that they was living their life on life's terms, that they wasn't getting high, they had things, they was happy, I was ashamed. I knew that my way wasn't working, but I was so stubborn that I'm going to do it my way, and I'm going to make sure that it's going to work. I'm going to find a way that it's going to work my way. I want to get high, and I'm going to do it successfully, and I'm going to enjoy life, living life on life's terms. In reality, I was duping myself. I was being stubborn. And I would have a resentment for those that was living their best life. Their life was better than mine. I would have a silent resentment towards these people, which made me stay stubborn and continue in active addiction, which led it to 40 years. So, by me saying that is that when a person is going through, they don't need for you to point the finger at them. They're already pointing the finger at themselves. There are moments where they feel so down and ashamed of their situation, just like I was so many times in the 40 years that I was in my active addiction, that I would medicate myself so I wouldn't feel that. I'm no different than they are. But what we can do is be an example. What we can do is leave the door open. We don't have to point the finger. They already know what they're doing to themselves and to others. We don't have to say nothing. But what we can do is let our walk in recovery be an example that the program works. That our walk in recovery is an example that the program works. That what we've achieved in our recovery works. That what we have due to the fact of recovery shows that it works. That's how we help each other. Also, I believe, this is just my belief, that sharing your strength and hope publicly keeps me from making a fool of myself and falling victim back into active addiction. Because I'm not hiding nothing. I'm not feeling ashamed about my past. It's something that I had to experience to get to where I'm at today. That I have achieved recovery. That recovery has blessed my life with a life that I didn't have. It also lets me know that what addiction took away from me, the life that I've destroyed, and the people I've destroyed, and the loved ones I've lost. But recovery has replaced those feelings with blessings of recovery, things that have blessed me in my recovery, a life far beyond I would thought I would have. I thought that I was going to die in the alley alone. My fear was to die alone because I've been alone most of my life. But the blessings that recovery has given me allows me to enjoy the fruits of recovery and the blessings of life. So, the point for today is, I only have today. As long as I stay focused today, work on myself today, I make myself better for tomorrow. And that's the way I work my recovery. Because I'm an imperfect person, I make mistakes. So I must keep the focus on Robert so I don't fall victim to addiction again. Next point is that in recovery, you're going to see people that are suffering in active addiction. You're going to see people that you want to help because you care about them. All you can do is be an example to them. Because by being an example to them, when they decide they want something different, they may come to you and ask for your help. But if you're judging them and telling them what to do, you'll be the last person they come to and ask for help. Because they're going to feel ashamed, they're going to feel hurt, and they don't want you to see them that way. Why? Because they probably respect you and they love you. But if you allow them to find their own way by you being an example in your recovery to yourself and others, you leave the door open for them to come to you and ask for help. But if you sit and judge and tell them what to do, you're going to push them farther away from the rooms of recovery. This is Robert Goodman from Positive Stroke staying here, wishing you a great day. And you have a great, wonderful day. And remember, I'm here Monday through Saturday, 7:30 a.m., sharing about my strength and hopes, about recovery, about living life on life's terms. So I can live my best life by sharing what I'm supposed to share is recovery to you and to others. You have a great day. And remember, you are the most important person to yourself. Only you can make yourself better if you keep the focus on yourself and work on yourself to make your life better. I keep the focus on myself to make my life better. And I hope you do the same for yourself. You have a great day.